Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are tackling a huge topic, one that touches every single culture and shapes societies in really profound ways: religion. We're going to break down how sociologists look at it. You know, for most of us, religion is deeply personal, right? It's about faith, individual belief. But sociologists, they ask a completely different set of questions. They look at religion as a social institution, something that actually influences our behavior, our communities, and even our economies. So, for the next few minutes, let's kind of put on our sociologist hats and explore this fascinating landscape together. So, to analyze anything like a sociologist, you need a clear starting point. We're going to use a definition from Emil Durkheim, one of the founders of the field. He saw religion as a system of beliefs about sacred things that, and this is the critical part, unites all its followers into one single moral community. The key takeaways here are that it's an organized system and it brings people together. It's not just about what one person believes, but about how that belief connects them to a much larger group. Durkheim really built this idea on a fundamental distinction: the difference between the profane and the sacred. Now, the profane is everything ordinary, the mundane stuff of everyday life. The sacred, on the other hand, is what a society decides to set apart as extraordinary, something that inspires awe and reverence. Think of it this way: a rock is just a rock, that's profane. But you carve that rock into a headstone and boom, it becomes sacred. It's filled with deep meaning and we treat it with respect. Durkheim argued that this very act of separation is where religion truly begins. Okay, so Durkheim's idea about the sacred, it sparked a huge debate. In fact, 3 of sociology's founding fathers developed 3 totally competing views on what religion actually does for society. So as we've seen, Durkheim saw religion as a kind of social superglue. He argued it creates social cohesion, binding people together with shared rituals and values. It reinforces social norms, acting as a form of social control. And it gives us comfort and a sense of purpose, especially when things get tough. For Durkheim, when people worship sacred things, they are, in a way, celebrating the power of their own society. But then you have Max Weber, another giant of sociology, and he kind of flipped this whole idea on its head. He didn't just see religion as a force for stability. He saw it as a powerful engine for change. His most famous argument linked the Protestant work ethic, this idea of valuing hard work and discipline as a form of religious devotion, directly to the rise of modern capitalism. So for Weber, religious ideas didn't just maintain society, they could build a whole new economic system. And then, of course, there's Karl Marx, who had a much more critical take. He famously called religion the opium of the people. From his point of view, religion was basically just an extension of economic inequality. It soothed the suffering of the oppressed by promising them rewards in the afterlife, which conveniently distracted them from the injustice they were facing right here, right now. So in this view, religion doesn't challenge the status quo, it actually reinforces it, helping the powerful keep their position. So you have these classic views: social glue, engine of change, tool of oppression. They form the basis for how sociologists analyze religion today. They give us 3 modern frameworks. Think of it like an essential toolkit for understanding religion's really complex role in our world. So in our toolkit, we've got 3 main lenses. First is functionalism, which builds on Durkheim's work. It asks, what purpose does religion serve for society? Things like cohesion and comfort. Second, you have conflict theory, which is inspired by Marx. It asks, who benefits? It really focuses on how religion can be used to justify power and inequality. And third, there's symbolic interactionalism, which zooms way in, from the big societal picture to the personal. It asks, how do individuals experience religion every day? It looks at the sacred symbols, the rituals, and the interactions that give people's lives meaning. Okay, theory is great, but how does this toolkit actually help us make sense of religion in the world today? Let's try to apply these frameworks to some real-world examples. Take a look at this number, 43,000. Wow, that was the average weekly attendance of America's largest megachurch. Now, a functionalist would see this and think, this is social cohesion on a massive scale. These huge institutions act as hubs for community, for support, for networking.
They're fulfilling a really vital social function for tens of thousands of people all at once.
But on the flip side, we're seeing this growing trend of secularization. The number of Americans who identify as religiously unaffiliated, the knowns, as they're called, has jumped pretty dramatically in just a decade. This trend, which the classic sociologists actually predicted, shows how the influence of traditional religious institutions is changing. It raises all sorts of new questions, right? Are people finding that community somewhere else? Or are they maybe becoming more spiritual, just in a less formally religious way?
Sociologists also categorize religious groups along this whole spectrum of influence and integration. It ranges from a cult, which is a small, new group often in tension with a broader society, to a sect, which is often a breakaway group. As they grow, they might become denominations, large, mainstream organizations. And at the far end of the spectrum is an ecclesia, which is an official state religion. What's really fascinating is that most major world religions, including Christianity, actually started at one end of the spectrum and evolved over centuries.
Now, a conflict theorist would look at modern debates over social issues like LGBTQ rights and see clear examples of power struggles happening within religion itself. You have some denominations like the Episcopal Church that embrace change and sanction same-sex marriage. Then you have others that face huge internal tension and resistance. This proves that religion isn't some static, unmoving thing. It's a dynamic arena where society's biggest debates about power and justice are constantly playing out.
So in the end, whether you see it as social glue, a tool of power, or an engine for change, one thing is for sure. Religion remains one of the most powerful and adaptable forces in society. It both shapes our world and is shaped by it. As society keeps evolving, the real sociological question isn't if religion will still matter, it's how. Where will we as a society find and define the sacred in the world of tomorrow?